Okay, so Angie, you're new here.
Yes.
How's it going?
Very well.
Okay.
Better than I ever would have imagined.
And I've worked on you for 2 weeks?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about how long you've had fibro and how you first realized you had it.
Well, I feel like it had been coming on for maybe over 10 years, and it started with chronic fatigue, and I was curious as to why I could not seem to get any energy. And I started seeing doctors, and it just kind of continued this doctor snowballing effect where I would see more and more and more doctors, and the pain got really bad within the last 3 years, and in the last 2 years I've been completely in bed 100%. If I had to go do something, I would sleep as long as I could through the day, and then whatever that appointment was, I could only do the one appointment or the one thing, and then I would have to get back in bed. So my bed has been something that's very comforting to me, but it's also my prison.
Right.
And I'll be happy when it's not a prison.
Okay. Tell me about how fibro affected your life, your personal relationships.
Okay. Fibro really kind of took away everything. I know from my husband that, and from after I've done a few treatments with you, I actually got a personality back. I've been without a personality for at least 2 years, and I know a lot of it was medication. I went on a full pain medication regimen, and I just was not able to feel emotions, or I felt them too strongly. I was either over emotional or under emotional, and there was no more of what I was for a long time. And it was just like the other night, my husband and I were laughing and talking, and then the next night we were laughing and talking, and both of us just kind of stopped, and I said, I've got a personality. Oh my gosh, I've got my personality back. So yet, I know that the fibromyalgia, the pain, it's the only thing you can think about. When you're in pain, your brain is completely consumed with just pain. There's very few things you can let in other than that. Just taking care of my child and then the pain. And that was pretty much all I could do.
Let's talk about your symptoms a little bit. What was the worst pain, if you could pick one thing? I know you had headaches.
Yes, the headaches started out horrible, and that was back in the 10 years coming on. I thought I had a headache problem because it started out with pretty severe headaches. And the more treatments I would do of different things, the headaches tapered off to where they weren't horrible, but they were there. But I would say the worst thing was the burning and tingling in my nerves. And every night I dreaded, and I still dread it, even though I'm just accustomed to it, dreading nighttime, because I knew in the morning I would wake up in agony. Like agony that it was just like hell. I would cry every morning. But I would have painkillers next to my bed, and I always made sure, no matter where we were, even in hotels or we stayed anywhere, I had my pain medication ready for the morning, and I would wake up wanting to just cry, but I would just throw the pain pills in my mouth and sit and wait and try to put on some relaxing music or something until the pain pills kicked in. And then it wasn't completely gone. I still had to deal with the pain. It just numbed it down just a little bit, and they're pretty strong pain medication. It wasn't light pain medication.
You know, I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm so in that world. I'm so passionate about fibro, but I can't put myself in your shoes.
Yeah.
To really feel, you can't really explain it to someone unless you've been through it.
Yes.
You said the fibro fog was really bad for you.
Yes.
Explain to me how that would go if you're having a conversation with someone.
Yes. The fibro fog is next to the pain, the worst thing, because you cannot remember words for a simple thing like a table or a chair, or you're in the middle of telling a story and you just blank and forget what you're talking about. And then you have to kind of be a joker and act like you're dingy, or that you're being, oh, I'm just silly, and make a lot of excuses for the fact that I couldn't finish a lot of stories I would start telling. A lot of people were insensitive when you don't remember something they told you literally 2 seconds ago, they're like, remember? I just said that. And they get kind of irritated a lot. And I literally couldn't remember what the conversation was even a couple of seconds ago. It was just gone. It's almost like if you get up in front of people and you're ready to speak and it's just gone. Or when I've seen singers and they get up and they lose the words and they forget all the melody and the words, and that is what having fibro fog would do.
You know what that feels like?
Wipes your brain, yeah.
You've been to a lot of doctors, I know,
Yes.
and I'll never forget our first day when we sat down. You said, I will go to Peru if there was something that could help me there.
Yes.
And it's interesting because your husband very much moves in the medical world.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit about that, the feeling you got from doctors not believing you.
Doctors, they would usually think that it was depression. That was the first one. They usually go to depression first. And I am not a person who suffers with depression. I have felt depression by taking antidepressants because they work opposite in my body. And when I did feel what depression actually feels like, I was horrified. I can't believe how depression feels, but I got a chance to feel it. But that wasn't my issue. And then they would go to, they almost didn't believe me. Not almost, they actually did not believe me. And then they would say fibromyalgia is kind of just an out there thing. Just like, there's a chronic bowel, something chronic that they equate it to, and they say, and that's not really a sickness. There's nothing that says this is real. And they would say there's fibromyalgia, but it's not really considered real. It's not even diagnosed as being a real thing. And so I was like, okay, well, I waited for years and years and years to get a diagnosis, but then the more doctors I saw, the more they said, it sounds like fibromyalgia, but it's not treatable. And so the one doctor I went to, and I've gotten quite a few responses like this, but I went to a rheumatologist and he did the whole antidepressant route, and I said, I'll do it again just to prove to you I can't. And none of it worked. And so I said, okay, now what do we do? And he said, now what you're gonna have to do is, I'm no longer your doctor, and you need to get on your knees and go pray to God. And I looked at him and he said, yeah, God. I'd say go talk to God. And I wanted to cry, but I held it in because I didn't want him to see me cry. Barely made it through signing out at the front desk, and I went out to my car and I just started bawling. And I knew from what it's worth, I was like, this is with me for life. I'll never be free of this. And
It makes me emotional.
yeah, it was painful. It was very painful, and he was very callous. And most of the doctors I saw were very callous.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah.
And so tell me, while I'm all emotional, tell me about your personal struggle, your kids, how that affected your life.
I had my older children were with me when I had energy. We'd go on bike rides, I'd go doing kites, we'd go everywhere. But my youngest daughter didn't get that time of my life. She got the fibro time. And I know that it has affected her, but what I did is she does color guard, and it's very much a sport. I mean, they're going all the time. So I offered to be in and helping with the girls because I wanted to shift the focus off of myself, maybe, and see if I could try to focus on somebody else besides myself, to not be so focused on the pain. And it helped a ton. And the girls, they were so wonderful. They don't know that I was wanting to just peer into what life looked like and what vitality and life and laughing and being young and being able to have emotions and have happiness and giggling. And it was so nice to be around the girls because it was almost like I was looking through a window that I wanted to get to, but I was on the outside, and I was watching in a window and thinking to myself, if I could have that vitality back, what would it be like? But I don't think a lot of those girls know how much meant to me.
Maybe they'll see your video on
Maybe
YouTube
so.
or Facebook and say, I never knew that you
Yeah.
were going through that, because you guys are great actors.
Yes.
Well.
Yeah.
Okay, so we both cried in this video. I wasn't planning on that. Tell me, just real quick, I know that you said this is a profound difference since we started. You're
Yes.
excited, you've had hope. What are the differences you're seeing?
It's just like being in the darkness and the light switches on one day and it's all okay again. Honestly, I can't believe it. It's just unreal sometimes. But my first treatment that you gave me, I came in hurting at 100, scale of 100, and I was down to a 0. And then I left feeling the 0. And all night long, I was terrified because I wasn't hurting and it scared me because I didn't want it coming back. And so I sat in my bed waiting and waiting for it to come. And it was really strange because I had not felt no pain in so long. And eventually it did come, the pain came back and after about 4 hours. And then when I came the second day, we did a treatment, and that's the last time I felt the 10 pain. I've only felt maybe up to a 2 or a 3 since we've been working. It's only been a couple weeks. So literally the second treatment, I was free.
I love working with you. I'm so excited about this. Thank you so much for doing this, because you're going to help lots of other people.
Yes.
And tomorrow you go to Cozumel for a week?
Yes.
Okay, we'll pick it up back after that. We'll check back in. Thank you.
Thank you.